Hello and welcome to HCISD Spotlight. I'm Anali Cantu, and with us in the studio is David Blue Garcia, director and producer of his upcoming movie Tejano. So David, I understand that you created this new movie called Tejano. What inspired you to do this movie?
Yeah, thanks for having me here. Tejano was inspired by a news article I read in 2010 about a man who was arrested in Spain after smuggling drugs in a cast made of cocaine. And the cast was on his leg. But the interesting detail about the article and the thing that piqued my interest was that his leg was broken. So I thought about, what's the backstory behind that? What would make someone so desperate for money that they would break their own limb and smuggle drugs? Mm-hmm. I got together with a screenwriter and we brainstormed on it and we came up with the story that became Tejano. And because I was born and raised in Harlingen and grew up here in the Valley, I decided to film it here. Wow,
so that's why you chose the Cardinal campus as one of your scenes?
Yeah, one of the scenes, we filmed it all over the Valley. Mm-hmm. And one of the scenes that we needed an immigration checkpoint. So I don't know if you've ever been to Mexico, but when you cross over, you go through a series of checkpoints with immigration officials and Border Patrol officers. And they just it's kind of like going through the airport, going through security. And we needed that kind of facility. And of course, we couldn't get the real thing. So I called up Harlingen High School, which is my alma mater, and asked them if they might let us film in the high school. So they helped us out. It was really great to be back on my old campus, the place where I learned to make movies, where my dreams first started to come to fruition. Because when I was in high school, a lot of people grow up and they watch movies and they think they're pretty cool, but I just started making short films and mini movies, and I really fell in love with the process. So Harlingen High School helped to nurture that part of me. Mm. Yeah, but we filmed the movie all over the Rio Grande Valley, north of Harlingen, Brownsville, McAllen, South Padre Island, and even a couple of scenes in Mexico.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
So do you believe that just anyone who has a passion for filming can make their own movies and get to where they want to be as a director?
Yeah, I mean, the old saying is you can do anything you set your mind to do, and that is true. I mean, filmmaking is one of the more difficult art forms to pursue because unlike other art forms, filmmaking requires such a large team of people, both cast and crew, to help you bring to life this one thing, which is only a couple hours long. I mean, it takes a lot of money, it takes a lot of time, and a lot of effort to make this art. So I think the process to becoming a filmmaker is a long process. It's a difficult road. And there's also no one way to do it. I mean, you can kind of do it any way you want now. Mm-hmm. There's people who move to Los Angeles right after they graduate high school or college, and they start working as assistants to producers, essentially like secretaries, and they kind of learn the process of making deals and getting the financing for movies, and eventually they can become filmmakers that way. Or you can do the other way, which is just start making your own movies like you do here in your studio. Make your mini movies, your short films, and eventually that will teach you the skills to keep building on and making bigger and bigger things. And then once you get noticed, you can maybe get funding for a large project. So there's no one way to do it.
If you don't mind me asking, where did you get the money to fund this movie?
Well, so I told you about the two different ways to do it. I took the hard way, which is I funded the movie myself. And I'm a little older. I've been doing this for a while, over 10 years professionally. And so I'm lucky because as a career, I chose commercial filmmaking. So I work for companies and brands, and they pay me to direct and shoot content. And so I've been successful doing that, and I've saved a lot of money doing that. And so I used my resources and some of the money I saved in my career to make my first film. So I invested in myself. I also did raise $10,000 on Indiegogo, which is a crowdfunding site.
Wow, that's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Since the movie will be premiering soon, correct?
Mm-hmm. So I'm here in Harlingen and in the Valley because I'm representing the film at the South Texas International Film Festival, which is taking place in Edinburgh this week, September 5th through 8th. Mm-hmm. We are having the premiere of Tejano in the Valley on Thursday, September 6th at 6 p.m. at the Cinemark Bistro in Edinburgh. Years since I really started pursuing this film. We shot the movie in 2015. It's now 2018, so it's been 3 years since I shot the movie. I've been working really hard on it. I've also had my other career, which is part of the reason why it's taken so long in post-production. But right now, I'm really just enjoying sharing the movie with the world, bringing it out, showing it to audiences, hearing their reactions, hearing their perspectives, and just talking about it. So that's my next project, is seeing Tejano through to audiences. And I'm in talks with the distributor about bringing Tejano to other big screens across the country, as well as on digital download.
How did you get into filmmaking and directing? Which we kind of discussed already, that the Cardinal campus expanded your desire to get into filmmaking.
Yeah, I mean, I can go into a little more detail.
Okay.
I mean, we're sitting in, what used to be, I don't even think this building existed when I went to middle school here, but right next door is the band hall, where I was in middle school band. And I used to skateboard out here in the parking lot with my friends. And I was kind of like not the best skateboarder out of my friend group. They were all better than me. And one of them had a VHS camera from his dad, and he would bring it along to make skate videos, because back in the 90s, skate videos were the coolest thing ever. So they needed someone to hold the camera, and they gave it to me because I couldn't do very good tricks. So I was the guy that was always holding the camera and like filming them. And eventually I started kind of directing it and getting different angles and telling them to do things again. And then it went from skate films to just making movies, making short films, comedies, silly stuff. We would get together on the weekends, and instead of watching movies, we'd go out and make something. So me and my friends early on would do that all through high school. And that's really where I fell in love with making movies. And I didn't really understand that you could make a career doing that. And I think a lot of people don't understand that. I mean, maybe more so now, because on YouTube and on Facebook and Instagram, there's a lot of tutorials, and they teach you how to do things, and they teach you how to make things. But that kind of information didn't exist a while ago. And so when I found out that film school existed, you could go to a university to study films, it was really an epiphany for me. And so I was lucky that my parents supported me through that process and let me go to the University of Texas Film School.
Wow, and do you still talk to those friends to this day? Like, did you work with them throughout the years?
Yes. So I'm going to give a shout out to Cale Johnson, who I grew up with here in the Valley, and he's also I believe he's a teacher here in the school district. Teaches at multiple schools. One of the big factors in helping me make Tejano here in the Valley. I mean, he was there helping out with production. He let people stay at his house. He gave us locations. He enabled a lot of things and was a really big help, as well as my friend Calvin Ballinger, who I used to also make movies with here in high school. And Calvin was at a job that he wasn't really a fan of, so he actually quit his job and came down to the Valley to help me make my film. Wow. So a lot of those people came out, and basically 20 years later, we made a real movie.
That's really cool. Mm-hmm. Shout out to the real ones.
Yes, exactly. the people that will come back and help you out. So filmmaking is so collaborative, you really do need that core unit of people to help you. It's important. Mm-hmm. And if you don't have that, you just need a lot of money.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Garcia. I look forward to seeing your movie Tejano that's going to do it for us here, I'm Anali Cantu for HCISD Spotlight.